And we are live with another episode of the Andor Aftershow. This is episode 8 of Andor. So hopefully you guys watched that new Star Wars show, before we started this. Otherwise, just warning, spoilers. I'm your host, Dimitri Pereira. And if you're watching this live, you're watching this on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Or if you're listening to the podcast, you're listening to wherever you get podcasts from. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. I think that's it. Yeah. I got my co-host, Sarah Zitney, a.k.a. Miss Marauder. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm just delightful. Feeling good.
I love the little factoid that, like, for anyone who's watching the live stream, they can see all the green in your background and in your hair. I love the little factoid that you can't green screen because of it.
I cannot. And I also have to watch. I can't wear green shirts.
Oh,
because it's just too much sometimes. Like the green hair and the green background and a green shirt. But my students have told me that I have to change the green. They're sick of it.
Like
they want me to do a different color. Yeah, they're placing bets on what color I'm going to do next.
Oh, do they get a say, or they're just placing bets and you get the choice, and then whoever's right's right?
They're placing bets and they get to put it like in a box. I used to change them more often, but I've become addicted to the compliments I get on the green. So it's going to be hard to change. It is a solid
green. Like,
I know.
It's not like a half-ass green.
I'm bleaching my hair for a cosplay coming up.
Oh yeah.
So after I bleach it, I'm gonna maybe do a new color.
Which cosplay?
For Lloyd, for Spy Family.
Oh, for Lloyd. Lloyd. Okay.
I tried to style the wig for about 5 minutes, and I was like, I have short hair. I'll just bleach my hair. I have to bleach it, as upkeep. So I'm like, I'll just do it.
Might I throw in an idea? You should do Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Oh, okay.
That'd be fun.
Do that. Then Evie will have a Scarlet Witch and an Agatha cosplay.
Oh yeah, was she Agatha?
We were both Agatha. She was Agatha from the finale episode of WandaVision, and I was the 80s, 90s Agatha.
That's cool.
With the vest, big hair. My most comfortable cosplay ever, for sure.
For anyone watching the live stream, you can see us, so you know who our guest is for this episode. If you can't and you can just hear us, you might have heard a little something. Let me introduce our guest. We got Cam, aka Caminator the Animator.
Hi, I'm Cam. Caminator the Animator.
I'm so glad you're Caminator the Animator. Caminator.
It's a mouthful. It's okay.
Caminator the Laminator.
Yeah, actually, that's my day job.
Okay.
Laminate.
Better than Caminator the Reanimator.
That's where my brain was going.
Because you bring things back from the dead, I guess.
Caminator the Necromancer. Yeah, I could be a necromancer.
You could, but it wouldn't rhyme.
No, not as well.
Mm-hmm. Unless your name was like Nancy into necromancy.
Necronancy.
Necronancy?
That's my new D&D character. Nobody take that.
Okay. I feel like it's something that like Neil Gaiman would write.
1,000%. Yes.
It's giving me Neil Gaiman. Cam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
Of course. I know that you're a little bit into the future. What time does Andor drop for you?
It drops 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, I want to say.
Wait, what time does Andor drop for us? Midnight. So
midnight.
2 a.m. for you guys.
Oh, 2 a.m. Time conversions aren't great.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm usually popping it on like a day or a couple days after it airs, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I never quite hit right there.
But you're all caught up now?
I am caught up. I am all caught up.
Just for this show?
Whew. Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Actually, I did go through today at work. I was just doing the usual mindless data entry. And I went through and listened to a bunch of like breakdowns and stuff, just so I could have like, okay, I'm feeling prepared.
Yeah.
Because I get really nervous sometimes on live shows. So I was like, I feel like I need to have things in my brain already to talk about.
You're in the right place because I take copious notes while I watch the episode.
Thank you. This
and
makes
then
me feel so much better.
At 1:15 in the morning last night, I was texting with my best friend in the world, and she is the world's biggest Rogue One fan. So she told me stuff that I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So some of my notes will be totally due to her.
Okay.
There's the Rogue One connections in this episode were bananas.
I mean, more than the Rogue One connections in this episode, I was looking at it in an almost literary sort of way, which we'll get to. I want to know, Cam, other than this episode, before this episode, how have you been feeling about this show so far?
Okay. I have had my feelings around Star Wars in general have shifted, but especially after the, newest movies and everything like that, I kind of got sick of the constant Skywalker thing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and so when Rogue One came out, and you said your friend is huge Rogue One fan, it felt like such a huge breath of fresh air. And I think we talked about this too before.
Me and you?
Yeah, we definitely have at one point. Because for me, so much of the wonderful world building and stuff in Star Wars is taken away when you only focus on a very few specific characters. And I like getting to focus on these characters that we know are going to die. And we know are spoilers. Sorry. If you haven't seen Rogue One, I guess. I don't know how seriously you guys go for spoilers.
No. This is spoiler.
It's a 10 year. You can spoil it after 10 years, and it's not been 10 years.
I mean,
okay, not been 10 years.
When
so
did
I
Rogue
am
One come out? 2016?
2016.
2016.
16? Oh my god, it feels like it came out last year. I feel really old. Oh god.
Shout out to Gizmos Aplenty, saying a couple of different things. This episode had so much. Gizmos Aplenty is on Twitch, saying also Rogue One is best one, and then also Cam.
Hi, Gizmos Aplenty. They're a very sweet creator. Wonderful person. But yeah.
Do you have another friend named Who's It's and What's It's Galore?
I do have one named Sebastian.
Oh.
He's kind of an asshole. Very big into composing.
That tracks.
And he's Jamaican.
I need to get back to my redhead days. You never knew me when I was a redhead, but if they was there for a hot minute. I'm so sorry if my cat is ruining the sound or anything like that.
Cats exist in Star Wars.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Winston, actually, fun fact, was in 3 of the Star Wars movies and a cameo in Andor.
Wait,
episode 8. Didn't you see Winston this episode? He had a cameo. My cat had a cameo.
In Andor?
Yeah, 1,000%.
I know that you're lying, but your energy is so genuine that I still believe you, even though I know this is a joke, but
it's all the D&D role playing that makes it.
There you go.
I mean, I'm a pretty good liar too, but I wanted to trust you.
Oh,
you had information I didn't have.
I feel like we have to make it a reality. One of our pets, or Sarah, your kid, should be in a Star Wars.
Kids are like pets.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we have 2 ins, which is that the actress that played Little Leia has liked both of Evie's Instagram posts in which she was cosplaying as Little Leia. I mean, her parents liked it then, and now her dad works at a school for visual effects that also works for Lucasfilm. And he was like, Evie might be able to come for a tour, and I was like, Evie might be able to come for a tour. I was like, we're a package deal, buddy.
What about me?
I know a Star Wars actor, or knew a Star Wars actor, but I won't say who, and don't say it if you already know it, Sarah. But
it's James Earl Jones. It
was James Earl Jones. Yes. No. I knew a Star Wars actor. He was kind of an asshole, and so. But I can't give any more clues other than that. So, anyway, let's talk about this episode because. Oh, wait, you said, Did Cam actually answer the question of like,
Nope.
oh, you didn't like the sequel series because it was focusing a lot on Skywalkers, and so
Yeah,
Rogue One is like one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, one of the things with the sequel trilogy that I was like sad about, I really thought that Rey was going to be just nobody.
I wanted her to be.
I wanted her to be so bad. And then when she wasn't, I was like, okay, well, I feel like this goes back on a very important and honestly, like compelling story arc that you could have had for her. So then when Rogue One came out, it feels like it satiated all of those desires that I had a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with this episode, like last, but also the Andor series in general, something about getting to see a story that we know is not in the history books, and like people will not remember the names of these people, and people won't really give a shit, is so refreshing to me.
It's sad though. It's so sad.
It's sad, but it's like we get to see it, which like makes it kind of beautiful in a way, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm getting sentimental a little bit.
it reminds me a lot. I don't know if either of you ever read Animorphs. Don't laugh at me because Animorphs.
Dimitri, you bring up Animorphs so much. I think I have never heard about all of the times in my combined life that I've heard about Animorphs. You have single-handedly talked about it more. You've single-handedly mentioned it more than any other mention I've ever had of it in my life.
I think the first phone call we had, or the only phone call we've had really, you talked about Animorphs for a solid like 10 minutes.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I think if you polled people and you were like, what's my legacy? Everyone would be like, oh, Animorphs.
Well, okay. Did you guys know I like Animorphs though?
Yeah, everyone knows.
No, really? I had no idea.
Not enough people talk about Animorphs. And Animorphs is one of the best young adult franchises that never was. Or almost was. So
what you're saying is Animorphs is the Cassian Andor of literature.
I don't know about that. But there's a moment, because in one of the books that's closer to the end of the series, like this like godlike being is talking to one of the Animorphs and you don't know, but then the Animorph is dead, right? So it like foreshadows there's a death coming. So in the final book, you find out who it is, and the last thing that she asks before she fades into nothingness is, as she dies, is, did I matter? Mm-hmm. Like in this whole war, did I make a difference? And he says yes, and she's gone. And that reminds me of Andor. Because nobody will remember Cassian's name, right? Like, but he mattered, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get emotional when I think of people's last moments. But like,
yeah, it's an emotional.
Rogue One hit me hard when I watch every time I watch Rogue One.
The beach, the moments at the beach. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I think that Animorph connection was very spot on. Amazing. Great job.
Thank you. I had to loop around to give context and then kind of come in.
Yeah. You got it.
But yeah, so it's interesting. But you've been liking the series so far?
Oh, majorly. And I feel like I know there's been mixed reactions a little bit with episode 8, which is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the better done of the episode so far. I don't know. What is your quick assessment, I guess, of it compared to because we already have like the first 3 episode arc and and
a 3 episode arc.
Yeah.
I like that. It's enough to like introduce new concepts, like heighten and escalate, and then full blown like third act, shit hits the fan every single time. And will it get old after a point? I mean, I don't know. If they do it right, I think they can vary it. Like, I think this, whatever,
I think this one, I think is going to be varied. I think that 7 was an in-between. I think it was we're dealing with the blow back the results of 6. And now this is the start of a new one. Because I can't see this prison storyline getting wrapped up next episode. Like this definitely feels like the first one of an arc.
Yeah,
it's so weird. It's like I never know where Andor is gonna go next. And then like now he's stuck in prison. Is it just gonna be him in prison for 5 episodes? Like,
well,
he's not I feel like they might do just a Suicide Squad kind of deal at one point.
Well, we know that at least one other person from the prison gets out with Cassian.
We do?
Because he is in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. A character at his table is in Rogue One. Dies on Scarif with Cassian.
Holy shit! Really?
Melshi.
Which one?
Yep, Melshi, the one that goes up to him. So when they're talking to him and they say, they're talking the first time they go to where they sleep.
Oh yeah.
And they're saying like nobody's talking about the thing, which was just so crushing that they were like, everyone must know they doubled our sentences overnight. And he's like, no, nobody's talking about it. And the one guy gets up close to him and says, don't ever look at the timer. It doesn't matter.
Oh, and he gets pushed up against the wall.
Yeah, that guy in Rogue One is the one that busts Jyn Erso out of prison.
I didn't even realize.
I didn't realize either.
He's like canonically, if you read any of like the visual dictionaries or which this information is from my friend because she reads the visual dictionaries and the novelizations, they're like best friends. Cassian and that guy.
They sometimes rewrite visual dictionary stuff.
Right. But the idea is like the reason that Melshi goes to Scarif is because it's Cassian. Cassian like asks him to.
Got it.
It's like everyone you know and love dies.
Yeah. And then the other connection is, of course, Saw. And in the timeline, I know the timelines are getting a little bit wonky, but in the timeline, in 5 BBY, Saw would have just abandoned Jyn when we see him here.
Really? How old's Jyn supposed to be?
Jyn's supposed to be 16. Jyn was born in 21 BBY, which it ticks down backwards. So she would be 16 in 5 BBY.
Oh, and 5 BBY, yes.
Yeah, and that's when he abandons her.
Wait, how old is she in Rogue One?
She's supposed to be like early 20s.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
I mean, Saw is going crazy, right?
I love.
He's just getting crazier and crazier, right?
He looked great.
I mean,
like his like the actor and
Forrest Whitaker, is he losing weight? Like in a good like.
I don't know. The jokes about how Cassian is in no way 5 years younger than he was in Rogue One. Saw Gerrera looks 10 years younger than he was in Rogue One. I mean, in Rogue One, his body's literally falling apart. He's going like a little bit of Darth Vader. But yeah, he looked phenomenal.
He doesn't have the breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
Have we seen Saw in between 5 BBY and 0 BBY or 1 BBY? In any of the shows?
Not in any of the shows, but
it would have been in Rebels then.
Is it? How close does Rebels get? Like, when does it end?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it gets that close. I don't think it gets within 5 BBY because it's enough that Obi-Wan is on Tatooine and Darth Maul approaches him, right? There's that whole thing.
Hold on.
The
timeline of Star Wars Rebels is exactly the same timeline as Andor. 5 BBY to 0 BBY.
Really? Wait, it ends at 0 BBY?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all going same time.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get a
because canonically Jyn knows Sabine.
Oh, because of the one show that we watched?
Yeah, that show that we watched that I love, where Han Solo tells Hera that the Ghost is a better ship than the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. What was Cam gonna say? Do we think what?
Since we're getting to BBY battle, do you think we're gonna actually see like the battle with like the Han Solo and like piecing off with Chewbacca moment and everything.
Wait, what?
The Battle of Yavin.
You think are we gonna see Battle of Yavin?
Yeah, because isn't Cassian there?
No, because he dies on Scarif before the Battle of Yavin.
I thought he was at the Battle of Yavin at
He's
one
in
point.
other battles, but Battle of Yavin is when when the Death Star like blows up.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean? Yeah.
Ignore me.
I mean, it's very close in time because literally Rogue One ends and New Hope begins like right away.
Right off, yeah.
So it would have been a couple of days, a week.
Right next to each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would suck though if Cassian and Jin got off Scarif before it blew up, and they're like, now they're at the Battle of Yavin,
and then they immediately peace out.
Yeah, or
immediately die.
They peace out of Scarif, and they're like, okay, what's the closest planet that we can like hide out on? Alderaan? Okay.
Oh no. So much of Star Wars is just I'm in the worst possible place at this time period. You know? Oh God.
Okay, I Googled. In season 3 of Rebels, he's this regular Saw. By season 4 of Rebels, which would be like 0 BBY, he's got the Rogue One look.
The breathing
so
apparatus.
that would be right before he dies then when we see him in Rebels.
A lot of things happen in this episode, yet like 10 different things move an inch. You know what I mean? Or for the metaphor to work better, 12 different things move an inch instead of one thing moving a foot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like
see, if we had the metric system, it could have been a cleaner metaphor.
Yeah. I had to go to 12. But because we have like, okay, so it starts off with Cyril, right? Oh, cereal. Okay,
Cereal,
I get
yes.
what Mr. Plow was in the comments being like, oh, Cereal remembers his name. And I'm like, what does that mean? So I wrote cereal, and he means, Cyril, right? Cyril Karn or whatever. Cyril's been what? And
he's been Googling him on his work computer.
Is that what it is? He's
been putting in like fake reports. He's been saying that he did all this other stuff so he can get like pings on him. My favorite part is the tie.
Spreading rumors, but professionally.
Yeah.
He's filing rumor reports.
Oh. I thought he was looking into reports, but no, he's filing reports?
I think so. I think he's essentially filing false reports about him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like to see if he can get a connection.
Yeah.
He says something like in the past, he's been a fuel smuggler, and he's been like, you've written all these like fake reports for him.
Mm-hmm. It's a burn book, basically.
Don't trust this nasty.
Don't trust.
I'm constantly, and I think it might be the cosplayer in me, but anytime they introduce a new like thing, like the tie being
the tie.
Oh, it was so good. From the inside, the little slot with the tie.
I assume it's a slot, right?
Yeah. That was amazing. Like the weird kind of closings on the suit jacket, where it's like it's like a wraparound. It's like a woman's like a wrap dress, but it's and the tie. I couldn't take my eyes off the tie. I was like, I love the world building, the care that's taken into the business. What is a business suit in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah. I mean,
delightful.
I like the tie, except for the fact that, like, I respect a good knot on a tie. As someone who learned how to tie a tie at a younger age.
Were you, forced to learn how to tie a tie at a young age?
Yeah, my dad used to tie it himself, and then he would do the classic, like, tie it himself, take it, like, slightly off, put it on. Then I learned how to do it.
I had to learn because I went to an all-girls high school, and I always played all the dudes in the plays. So I usually was wearing a lot of ties. That, and I thought I was Avril Lavigne, so they were also part of my But then at Universal Studios, when you're a wizard, it's Velcro on the back, so you don't actually have to tie it.
Yeah. Anyway, the point. What was I saying? The point being,
the business or the business professional of Star Wars.
Yeah.
The ties. How you like the ties?
It's like, okay, that's a cool tie. So then Deidre gets involved. So we finally see Deidre and Cyril meet.
Oh my gosh.
It was not what I expected. I've been looking forward to them coming together, and then to have her absolutely like not care about him at all.
Well, because he's not an Imperial officer.
Not what I expected. And he was like trying to push his luck, and she's like, get away from me.
Right. Did you expect them to do like, is it Commando or Alien? No, a Commando or Predator, when it's just like, it's the two arms. You know?
Not exactly, but I thought maybe they'd be like, but yeah.
They'd like, bond over their mutual pettiness.
Yeah, you hate this guy, so do I.
And she's like, you're a tiny ant and you're meaningless to me. And I was like, okay.
It makes sense also. Like, it is very like cop in a rural town kind of, because like he didn't have much to do wherever he was. Versus like Deidre is like I don't know, is an actual military officer.
She's I mean, by this point she has been to like in the favor, you know, and like being respected for what, like a couple of years at least, you know.
Yeah.
So she probably is much more hoity-toity.
Right. But she's like very like cut to the chase. I mean, even in that whole circle of ISB, is that what it's called? ISB? Even in that circle, that room, she doesn't hold her tongue like some of the other people do. To the point where that one guy, I need to look up these names because like
you need to get like a cheat sheet.
Yeah,
they introduce like new characters all the time in this show.
Yeah, and the reveal of the guy that she doesn't like, whose name I forgot, who has a weird name.
Blevin,
like,
was it?
Blevin, yeah, made him like sign it without reading the report. I was like, oh, she's not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
Oof. Blevin is such, sometimes I and Rogue Run, but like also Andor and the TV shows in particular, actually do this a lot, where they introduce so many characters in quick succession and it feels like they're just throwing darts at a wall for like the names. Blevin? Who thought of that?
When they did the thing at the prison where they said everyone's names at the table, I was like, I immediately forgot everyone's name.
Like, I have no idea who this is.
Except for there's one guy named Ham. I'm not gonna forget that. But I am also a Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon watcher, and there are two characters who were identical twins named Eric and Arik.
Oh my God. Yes.
And they don't even give them different hairstyles. They both have a man bun. And it's like, how hard would it be to just buzz one's hair so we could realize
slightly different? Nope.
But no, it's like they have a slightly different trim on their cloak, and that's what you have to look for. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
On one hand, it's like it's better than how it is like early days of a lot of franchises where they'll throw out a bunch of characters, but they won't really give any but the main characters names, and then they'll like, you know, retcon like, oh yeah, they were Sam actually the whole time, but like also. This is so much to know. And
with everyone having a name, I feel like there was a time where it was like, oh, that character doesn't have a name. Like, I'm not going to get attached to them.
I'm not getting attached. I'm like, I don't know who's going to live past this prison.
I do.
Well, you know.
Now we know two people.
Yeah.
And then the guy who's in charge of them is going to become Snoke.
What? And Andy Serkis.
Yeah, because Andy Serkis he's the Snoke.
And the motion capture, right?
He has the motion capture for Snoke, yeah.
But yes. Also the fact that Snoke was just a failed Emperor clone. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like that they, like every franchise is like, we can have an Andy Serkis face and then an Andy Serkis motion capture. They're two different entities and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can just use them both.
Ruth Scott Melshi.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know who's going to live. I'm trying to figure out the point of this episode. I'm going to be honest. I'm trying to figure it out. Because, like, I think the greater point, like, it's setting up for something. I'm not saying it's a waste. I'm saying it's obviously setting up for something that I cannot foresee. Also, Mr. Plow says, love that Disney Plus mass shower scene.
I saw that and I was like,
I was hoping for butts, even though I knew I wouldn't get them.
Have we?
I was hoping for full frontal. I
don't think there's been a butt in Star Wars other than Chewbacca.
Been close to a butt.
Princess Leia's like upper thigh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've got butt adjacent, but no.
Butt adjacent. Ass adjacent.
Yeah.
So close. We've gotten so close.
So close. We got so close to so many butts.
Yeah. New petition for Disney to put a butt in Star Wars.
Now that we have a butt in Marvel, it's time for a butt in Star Wars.
What butt? Thor's butt?
Thor's butt.
Okay,
Yeah.
You were, Cam, you were just expecting just a bunch of dinglings?
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to see penises. No one, I don't think anyone has ever said that earnestly.
I think it would be funny. I don't even think it would be offensive or titillating. It would just be like a bunch of just like.
It'd just be hilarious.
Yeah.
I could just imagine them being like, how do we get people talking about Andor over Tales of the Jedi? What if it's 25 men, full frontal nudity?
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been a headline.
Yeah.
I want to see an Emperor's clothes dick. Sorry, terrible joke.
It reminds me of, there was a issue of like this Batman miniseries where the artist drew Batman's dick. And so then they pulled the issue and then they put a shadow over it. So then that issue with the full frontal is worth a lot of money.
Yes, I've seen that image.
You've seen it? Oh, you've seen it in person?
Delightful.
Oh.
Is it though?
No.
It didn't, yeah, whatever.
It's not visually, appealing to me personally.
Yeah, makes sense. Tracks. Same.
So other than full frontal, a lot of things were going on in this episode, but I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what's it leading to? Because they drop things that I feel are important. There's a lot of people in that prison. Are they there because of PORD? Is that why there's so many? And I'm not trying to spell porn, because porn is not spelled PORD.
Yeah.
If anyone out there is like, what is POR?
They're all there for porn.
Yeah.
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 That's why
I don't think so.
It's called something. What's PORD called? PORD stand for?
Something resentencing
directive.
Yeah. I feel like there's this discussion on like, we haven't seen the Empire be evil yet type thing, where it's like, this is pretty evil.
Which part? The prison part?
The entire prison part.
Yeah.
Like that dude stepped out of his cell to fry himself to death.
Yeah, he's
like
committed suicide.
And that idea of like the Empire could just do anything. They could just take anyone for any reason. Cassian literally did nothing. Yeah. I'm a Cassian apologist, but this time he literally did nothing wrong. And not get anything and get sent for 6 years to this place. And the torture, like,
who knows the other guys, like, what they were in for?
Yeah.
You have no idea. I mean, he was doing nothing. They're probably doing nothing.
We don't know. There could be some nasty guy, though.
I mean, there could be, but also 6 years for, like, nothing. I feel like at this point, they're just trying to pad the, fill the cells and keep this work going. You know?
And that they doubled their sentences while they were already there. Like that was absolutely wild to me.
Yeah. So shout out to that one wizard kid out there who's been watching a lot of our shows lately. So what's up? Yay, I'm finally caught up on Andor, which is great because we're talking about Andor. So I'm glad you're all caught up. Mr. Plow says, look up for profit private Mississippi and Alabama prisons. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Literally, exactly. I mean, you were saying before, you don't really, you didn't feel like this was doing much more than like setting up for future.
No, I mean, it all has meaning, right? Like, I'm not complaining. I like the episode. I'm just trying to think ahead and be like, there are specific themes that I think they're tackling. For instance, I think they're tackling the effect of the PRRD on everybody. And in each scene, it's how it is escalating everybody. Like, no matter what. So I think it's also like we're seeing a little bit into the class system in this galaxy. So we have Mon Mothma, very high level. We have Deidre, who is, it's not like rich, but she's still in the system, right?
Yeah.
But then you have the prison. Then you have, what's the planet that Cassian was on in the beginning of this series? Ferrix?
Yeah.
Ferrix. And they're lower class citizens, you know? And they're dealing with the Imperial occupation and the PORD ramping everything up, you know?
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it and to look at it. Yeah.
I had discussions at the beginning of this show with people where it was like, obviously it's a show about Cassian getting pulled into the rebellion and Cassian becoming kind of radicalized by his experiences. But as I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if people viewing this are going to get radicalized in the same way. Because this is like a case for prison abolition. Like it's literally in the Constitution that there's no more slavery except for in punishment for a crime. Like you can literally, like this is not and as I was looking, I was like, wow, the Empire really like gets to do literally whatever they can do, whatever they want. And I was like, oh, this is a yucky feeling. Because it's like, yeah. And then at the same time, yeah, it was just
okay, Skarsgård, our Lord and Savior Skarsgård.
Who's
like earlier?
He's your Lord and Savior.
I love the Skarsgård family so much. They are all in their own special ways phenomenal actors and so weird. Just something about their faces. Anyone who could be in Star Wars and Mamma Mia has my vote.
You're right. He was in Mamma Mia.
He was. I have expected them to do how old are you? I'm 20.
This Skarsgård family is like Otter Pops in that they're all distinctly different flavors, but each one is delicious. Not a skippable one. They're all phenomenal.
An Otter Pop.
The ice pops?
You don't know
they're like the thin like plastic.
Oh, the ones covered in plastic?
Yeah.
We call them freezies.
I know. I think it's a regional thing.
Oh,
yeah. I call them Otter Pops.
I thought like I was imagining like a chocolate push pop.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Freezies. Never mind. They also have the ones that you can like crack in half and each person gets one.
Wait, the kind that you crack and then it lights up and then you can like you're not
don't eat those. Don't eat those. Yeah. No.
Really? No wonder my stomach's been hurting so much. But okay, Lord and Savior Skarsgård, as I was saying, you obviously
played a different altar than I do.
I do. I can't help it.
I don't. Okay.
But
they're great.
They are. You can judge me all.
Stellan, right? Is this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stellan is the dad. Yeah. But
watching him and Forrest Whitaker together in a scene was like a near religious experience for me. I was like, this is delightful.
He is such a like good actor. It hurts. But he earlier in the series says, the Empire is like slowly tightening its grip and like you're feeling it and we need to do something to make them be more violent. And obviously kind of fucked up ends justify the means situation.
Right.
But in this episode in particular, like you were talking about how you're seeing the effects of the PORD, the PORD, at every level. I think just as much as we see Cassian slowly turning over to be like a genuine member of like the rebellion, believing in the resistance and all that, I feel like Andor is not just about him doing that, but it's how society throughout like shifts more and more into that, and he just happens to be like a singular point that also does it. But everyone like is starting to turn more rebellious and is feeling the same like pressure and discrimination and stuff all same time. I don't know if I'm making total sense, so please tell me if I lost you.
No, that makes sense, because that's what Luthen said even in last episode when Mon Mothma was like, people are going to get hurt, and he was like, that's the plan. That's the idea. So I mean, that idea that he says, I think he says oppression like leads to rebellion. Like we need it to get more oppressive to radicalize people. Like it has to, it's like, is a terrible metaphor, but like when you're cleaning and organizing your room, like it's gonna look worse before it looks better. Like it's gonna be a mess for a while, and then it's gonna be, and then we're gonna get to the point.
That reminds me too of there's this one, like it was a sociology professor, and they were like wrote like a thing on Twitter about where dictatorships or like where independence wars come in. And it's basically like when you have somebody who's in the middle, or a country who's in the middle, where they might be like oppressive in some ways, but not so oppressive in others. Basically, it's you have to be on one end or the other of a extreme to have like a big change of regime. Yeah, I'm saying it, but I'm losing the word. And I think that he was, I mean, he's been trying to push it towards that, exactly like you said. And now we're seeing it come to fruition.
I have some thoughts about the rebellion factions, but before I do, that one wizard kid, because that one wizard kid is finally caught up on Andor, it's interesting how Luthen is using an immigrant to start the rebellion. I'm editing this. I'm editing what I think Wizard Kid is saying. Wizard Kid, let me know if that's not it. To start the rebellion and believes him to be disposable. It's really leaning into that both sides are bad statement. Yes, I mean, Luthen is not exempt, right? They sent Cinta and Vel to kill Cassian, right? Like that's their job. And Vel's heading home, right? And Cinta is staying there on Ferrix.
Yeah, I'm interested in Vel because there was that conversation with Cinta where Cinta said something like, I just love Cinta so much. Something like, I'm a mirror and you love me because I reflect like what you want to see in yourself, or
Not
something.
what you want to see, what you need to see.
What you need to see, yeah. And then she said something about like, who are you? And she said a rich girl running away from her family or something. I was like, yeah, she did. What is Vel's back? And then she was like, that's cold. I was like, what's Vel's backstory? Who is her family?
It's gotta be like, she has to have some kind of connection to the like elites and stuff, and I feel like that's going to come into play in the next couple episodes, because we also saw her like super cleaned up at that one point. She looked very fancy, and I don't know, I think that she's gonna end up having to maybe use a connection to family to either help out, or it might be a hindrance to her, because they took such time with that conversation. I'm like, this is gonna have to come up later.
Which conversation?
Between Cinta.
Yeah, we had to have another lesbian hand touch.
Well, she did say I love you or whatever, right? At least that was something, right? But yes, they should be kissing. So what's up?
Somebody says, Mr. Plow says, do you think Cinta killed that family.
Yeah, I'm assuming this probably means the family from episode 6, the Imperial's family. Some people online have said that they think that Cinta walks out so easy, she kills them, and she walks out.
I mean,
we haven't heard one way or another, and she is pretty hardcore. Remember, Cinta's the one who shot the one guy when she comes down the ladder. Like, she's not afraid of taking the shot.
She's a shoot first, ask questions later person. I'm,
do what I need to do to survive.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the rest of them were kind of, well, we don't want everybody to get hurt, but like, we're willing to take you down with us. And she was like, nah, fuck it. Let's go right now. Right. You don't immediately say like yes or do what I need you to do.
Yeah, I think if there was a cleanup crew, it would make sense for Cinta to be that person.
Because
definitely
if they were alive, they'd be able to tell everybody who they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see there's so many rumors about Aldhani. They're talking about like they blew up a garrison. I heard they burned it down. Like nobody, like something else happened there. Yeah. Like the whole idea of like nobody really knows what happened.
Yeah.
How'd she get off world? The last we see of Cinta, the Star Destroyer goes above.
And that shot was so cool.
Cinta's so cool that I can imagine her standing on a cliff and then throwing a rope to the Star Destroyer and just kind of like
whisk away.
She gets whisked away. Yeah.
Like that one Harley Quinn scene where she's like grabs onto the ladder of the helicopter.
Oh yeah, in Suicide Squad.
Rope. Yeah. Cinta just does that same thing, but so much cooler.
Vel though is the insecure, like she has apprehension and insecurities, right? Cinta's the one who was like, "We do this. This is the time," and then Vel's like, So like. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cinta, even though she's a quote-unquote good guy, it gets to the point in this season where Cassian has to kill her.
Ooh, that would make me sad.
Wait, expand on that a little bit.
Cinta's going to kill Cassian. Like, that's her job. She's going to do whatever it takes, right? That like, we've seen that is who Cinta is as a character.
You think that she's not going to,
do you think Cassian can convince her not to kill him or try to kill him?
I don't think Cassian can, but I think Vel could.
Vel will get caught in the crossfire. I mean, none of these characters are safe.
I literally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, except Melshi.
Yeah, and Cassian. And Saw, I guess. Yeah.
Mr. Platt says standard Greek tragedy. Yeah.
The final episode is just everyone shooting each other and falling. Yeah. I just read Antigone with my 10th graders and they were like, what just happened? And I was like, yeah, in the last 2 minutes of the play, everyone is dead. Like, that's how these go.
Is Antigone the second or the third?
It's the third in Oedipus.
There's Oedipus Rex, and then Antigone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like with Val, I know initially she was kind of like, oh, she's the leader of this mission. I keep on hearing this like throughout Andor again and again, which is this tell me what to do, basically, or like people being like, this is like who you are, this is what you should do, kind of like forced followed directions, we see that with Luthen and like, Cassian and just about everybody in Cassian. But with Vel, it's this like insecurity thing, like you were saying before, and I feel like Cinta just is okay, this is exactly what we're gonna do, but everyone's kind of just running around with their head like chickens with their heads cut off and being like, I'm just gonna do the next thing that I think is the right thing.
I have a theory.
That Frozen song.
But before I get to the theory, there's something that leads up to the theory, and that is the commentary on the rebel factions. We don't have a rebellion the way we see them in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Saw Gerrera, in his conversation to Luthen, brings up all the different, all the galaxy separatists and the blah, 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 and all these different groups. He's just like, they're all idiots. Everybody's fighting against each other, like we're not one cohesive group.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he says, I am the only one with a clarity of purpose.
Right. And we see later that his clarity of purpose only goes so far up until he drops off, right? The rebellion kind of changes lanes a little bit or kind of figures out its purpose. And some of those factions either get folded in or like sloughed off, right? Because I don't know, like in A New Hope, we don't hear anything about the Trade Federation, like separatists or anything. It's like
it becomes more centralized, at least.
Yeah. I think it has to do with Leia. I think that Mon Mothma, because what changes between now and then in 5 years? Mon Mothma a couple episodes ago talks about she's bringing in someone important into the fold. Is that the banker that she's been talking to? I don't know, but she said something else, right? I think it's Leia. That was my theory back then. I don't know if I've been proven wrong yet about that. But like, what inspires the rebellion to clean up their act, to bring in the Mon Calamari, to really shape the rebellion up into an actual hero organization, as opposed to the literal just radicals? Like, what tempers the radicals? At some point, something does.
Yeah, it could be Leia. I would go, I think like Mothra would, but I feel like something has to happen to make her more extreme. I've seen theories that say like they think that her husband and a daughter will be killed, which will like really push her into like, I'm going to become the leader of this, and like, or something along those lines. But why? How do you think Leia would play into this, like in the show, or if we would see it in the show?
I mean, I think that Leia specifically has been shown to kind of have great leadership ability, and she's essentially a spy, right? But like if Jin can come out of nowhere in Rogue One and give an inspiring speech to everybody that like really everybody rallies around, imagine Leia just showing up every day, giving 10 inspirational speeches.
But everyone doesn't rally around her. When she does the rebellions are built on hope speech, everyone in the room is like, that's not enough for us. And then the splinter group of like 18 of them go to Scarif.
Yeah, that's consistently. I was gonna say, yeah, Sarah, you're right.
It didn't work. It worked for me in my heart.
Right, but you're right. You're right. But Leia, imagine like Leia with her charisma. It's interesting because Leia, like Padme started, she was a young child when she was queen, right? She was 12 or 14 or something. And then Mon Mothma was a senator at 16. We find out this episode, right? Married at 15. So that guy? But she said that guy used to be different, right? I
wrote in my notes. Another great look for Mon Mothma. This guy still has his dumb hair. Like he's wearing the same thing and the same little like curly hairstyle in every episode. And just every episode she comes out with like the most beautiful outfit I've ever seen on a person. And he always consistently just looks like a goober.
I don't want
to alienate like people with that hairstyle. Maybe it's his personality with that hairstyle, or it just looks greasy.
I think everything about him just goes together in one like disgusting puzzle piece. Disgusting puzzle. Because just when you bring it all together, I don't know. I really don't like his vibe.
No one does.
Something is about it.
Pro parent.
But everyone at that party, I thought it was so interesting, and it might have been. I'm interested if you guys think it was a little too on the nose when they were talking, when they were cutting back between them at the party and the people at the prison and the horrible treatment they were getting. And the people, like the aristocratic people, were like, no, it's fine. Like, we're in a dangerous time. Don't do crime and you won't have to worry about anything. I was like, oh, my uncle has said that.
I do think it's kind of on the nose, but I also feel like one of the things I have really liked about Andor is how it like cuts its scenes.
Yeah.
Together. So I don't know. I feel like it's consistent. It's on the nose, but it's consistent with what they've been doing. Like, so it doesn't feel so jarring, you know, even though I totally get what you're saying where you're like, this is pretty obvious what they want us to think.
But then it's like, sometimes you have to make that kind of stuff obvious.
I liked it. Yeah. Again, I think it's about the class differences in this episode especially, but also like the way that like the Pord doesn't touch these aristocrats and the bureaucrats, right? It doesn't really touch them. And so they're so far removed from the lives of the everyday people that they can pass whatever law they want and pretend like it helps or think that it hurts.
Leave in the middle of a Senate session. Nothing matters to them.
Right, because they're cozy, right?
Yeah.
And that moment when Mon Mothma was like, do you feel unsafe? And they were like, of course. I was like, shut up.
Right. And then you have the prison, right? And then you have Ferrix. And then you have, Deidre and the ISB. It's this class thing. But it's also showing us how the different people that are involved in the rebellion, their rebellious nature or their draw to the rebellion is formed by very specifically their life circumstances. Mon Mothma is very clean and like, she doesn't want trouble. She wants a clean and clear resolution to this empire, right? Because she's coming from that life.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, Saw Gerrera has a different past. Cassian has a different past. Luthen's kind of like Mon Mothma in a way that he's just like, yeah, other people can die. He's playing chess with people.
I think that, and it really shows in this episode in particular, people who have always been listened to think that you can talk anything out.
Yeah.
And Mon Mothma is like that, where, she's like, once I pass this bill, or if I just give and I do think it's good that she's, giving her family fortune to fund, the rebels and everything.
Yeah.
But you can see just such stark differences between the motivations for the characters. Like some of them are just, I just want to survive, which is Cassian more like right now, where he puts his survival and his ability to live a more stable life above freeing everybody and the larger purpose, versus his mother, or pseudo mother, I should say, who is starting to look back on her life and is like, no, this is something I want to help while I can, even though I'm getting older and I can't do what I used to. It's so cool to see how so many people approach the same problem, because some people really do think you can nice your way out of not being oppressed. It's kind of wild.
I mean,
Mon Mothma, I like, don't get me wrong, I like her. She wears great outfits
I love her. And I think there's the whole idea of, you have to have someone, it's a good thing to have someone in my position to help with this stuff. And essentially what she's saying to Luthen is if you blow up my spot, then I won't be in this position to help you. So that makes sense to me. But I think with Luthen, he cannot ideologically, he can't make sense of Mon Mothma being so kind of timid about it, where it's she's trying, I think she's trying to help the way she can, but also is thinking strategically about it. When we see her in Rogue One and in Return of the Jedi, she's very much the strategist type person, she's in charge of the room. So I feel it's not purely coming from a place of I'm sure we could just talk it out, but it's coming from I'm helping you from this spot. If you take away my privilege and resources, I can't help you this way anymore.
Do you feel like it's
but I'm a Mon Mothma
long game kind of, because she's kind of giving me Olenna Tyrell vibes, but less overtly like
What does that
working
mean?
from the shadows.
As
Yeah,
someone who
I think
doesn't
she'll
watch
be
Game of Thrones?
Olenna Tyrell in 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically like someone who is seemingly not that powerful, but actually does have a lot going on behind the scenes.
I think the
Takes advantage of how people view them.
I think the Mon Mothma we see now is proto Mon Mothma. I think that she is going to make a mistake. I think I think the reason she's not as effective as she will be later is because she hasn't hit rock bottom, because she hasn't struggled. She hasn't struggled. Just she comes from a life of privilege. The rebellion is only, it's, dare I say, a hobby.
It's got to be something deeper than a hobby, I'd say.
Think about the way they talk about her Senate career. Her Senate career is based upon charity acts. She secures funding for underprivileged planets, right? That's a hobby. Like, the rebellion's just a side gig. Like, she's a senator. It's the rebellion is the same charity situation as the charity situation that she gets from the Senate for these other planets. It's like the same
Sarah,
thing.
I so want to hear your thoughts on this.
This is outrageous. It's slander. I think she is a strategic operator. I think she knows how important the rebellion is, and I think that's why she's being so careful with it. I think she is operating in the way that she feels that she needs to. I don't think she's taking it lightly. I mean, I think she's like the double agent spy stuff you see when she's at that place, and I'm concerned about that guy leaving without telling her she's leaving. He was leaving, but I don't think she's taking it lightly or viewing it as a hobby. I think she's just being really, really careful. And I don't think it might be a little teeny bit self-preservation for her, but I think it's more that she knows how easily it can all kind of fall apart. I mean, she sees the walls closing in. She's not allowed to do bank transfers anymore. She gets a new, chauffeur every week.
That's as much as it's
smart enough to
affected
see
her.
that.
That's still scary.
No, it's scary.
But I think she understands that the next step is she gets snatched in the night.
Yeah, I'm not saying
you're obviously surveilling her. She hasn't hit rock bottom.
I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm not saying any of that. She's very talented. She's very smart. She can be the Mon Mothma that we see later, but I don't think she's there yet.
Lose something to gain something. I feel like.
What's that?
Tell me if this is wrong, but I feel like you're saying she needs to lose something to gain.
I think she hasn't hit the her crucible, right? Her she hasn't been forged in fire yet. She hasn't seen it, And even I mean, some of the characters we see in the show haven't been forged in fire yet. Like Cassian himself.
That's spoken like someone who should start watching House of the Dragon. That was a real Game of Thrones thing you just said.
I mean,
seriously, if y'all ever do a House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones live show or anything, that I want to be.
I'm number one campaigning for just making Dimitri sit in the corner and have guests on and have to listen to them talk about House of the Dragon.
I mean, at that point,
I'll go through the whole history. I'll go through the whole Princess and the Queen.
We'll talk after this show. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I think that maybe a hobby. Calling it a hobby is too much. Is a little too far. But I don't think she can use her talents to the full extent of her capabilities yet, because she's just in a situation in which it's kind of like nobody needs her to make decisions. Luthen is making more decisions than she is. They just need her money. That's all
she does have a more passive role right now, but one of the things I found weird but also interesting, I like because Luthen, obviously is controlling a lot of things from behind the scenes, but I feel like they should have had her have a more active role earlier in the season. It's getting to the point now where it's getting there, and she still doesn't have a very active role in the rebellion.
I think it'll.
So I see what you're saying. I just feel like it's taken a while to get there.
I think it will. I think Luthen's gonna get taken off the board or something.
What are your theories, Sarah?
Speaking of people being taken off the board, and speaking of hitting rock bottom, I am terrified for the entire population of Ferrix, but especially Bix and especially Marva. I have a bad feeling about Marva getting injured, and I think it's going to be like a suicide mission. I think she realizes she's getting old and she's not doing well, and I think she's going to risk it all for the rebellion. And I am not emotionally prepared for that at all.
She's 1,000. I mean, she took in like Cassian, even at risks to her, even when everyone told, like, when Cassian's dad was like, no, do not do this.
And so watching all of Cassian's
very in character for her to be like, I don't care if my life's in danger. I want it greater good,
Seeing all of Cassian's friends come and check on her kind of broke my heart. I was also informed that the actress that plays Bix may or may not have like wrapped her shooting a little bit earlier than some of the other people. So I'm terrified we're gonna lose Bix next episode.
Could be.
Is she gonna get interrogated by Deidre? Is that?
Yeah. That's where we left. That's like where we left the episode.
It closes. It reminds me of when Princess Leia gets tortured in the Death Star, because the camera comes out of the door and it goes, right?
Yeah, that's the scene that
such a cool shot. It shows up again and again.
Yeah,
that one
fuels my biggest pet peeve in all of Star Wars, which is the weird Vader Leia children's merchandise. So you guys don't know because you don't have children as giant Star Wars fans, but there's a lot of like onesies with like Vader and a little Leia that says like Daddy's Little Princess.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that is not the vibe of their, like, he literally blew up her family and tortured her. Like there's a weird, it's weird. I like specifically had to tell people, please don't buy her any of these things.
Yeah, my brother got that for him and his daughter, that stuff. Ugh. Jeez.
Strange. It's strange.
Do you think that in this season we're going to get any more news about Cassian's sister?
You think whether that plot point will pick up in season 2?
Do you think it's going to pause until season 2, or do you think there'll be like a little?
Might be a post-credit kind of end of season. Like,
there's just so much going on.
There is. Like, I don't even know when he's going to get out of jail.
He could be in there the rest of the season. We wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But they did cut to like 30 days in jail, like him getting into the routine pretty fast.
Yeah.
So maybe they won't stay on it so long.
What happens after we cut to like 30 days later or whatever? What scene do we see after that? Cinta watching out through the window.
Wasn't it the sign language scene was after that or before that?
That was before that. I think that's
what
when
is
they
going
were
on there.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's got to be
a prison break.
Either a prison break or like someone has a connection on the outside to like the rebellion, and that could be how they get out. I have no clue.
I want to see a prison break.
Yeah, who was the guy who was doing it? Was it somebody that?
It's someone at his table.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's how he's gonna get out.
My question then is, like, we're going for the action movie trifecta because we had a heist, and then if we have a prison break, what's the third thing?
Heist, prison break.
It just like all out battle sequence, like what?
The battle where
like
everyone
showdown, one-on-one showdown. Like there's got to be
a cowboy shootout. Well, that was actually the first pod. The first 3 was more of a Western escape, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that the first arc felt very Western. It kind of feels like that's a little bit continuing, but
I can't do math. There's 4, so this would be the third one. It's the fugitive, and then a heist, and then a prison break.
Yeah.
Oh, what a perfect show!
Like what's next? They steal the SAT scores with Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans.
I feel like
Up in the stakes.
They're spending a lot of
Very
time on like how huge and how formidable the prison is, but also they spent a lot of time on how mismanaged it is. Like when they were checking him in, it was like the guy's not here yet. What are we gonna do? Like it was very like super mismanaged. And then the people that are doing a good job of managing are the other prisoners. Yeah. So like and those real goofy boots they were wearing, but I know
they showed those boots a lot. But I get why, but I can't wait till somebody puts on those boots,
merchandising,
and just murks all the guards.
They're made for walking.
Yeah.
I just know Cassian has to at some point like shove one of the guards' face like into the ground.
Well, here's the thing.
That's all I want to see.
If you're wearing your shoes but you touch the ground, will you still go blah blah?
I think so. Oh, so you like don't flip, or else.
Yeah, if
I would think so.
If you push someone over, will they go blah blah?
I hope so.
I love seeing it in action. Like,
you mean what I just did right now?
Well, yes. Yeah, one more time.
No, we're good.
No, but it feels like this is a rather open area, and it feels like you could really just step out. And it gives you like, not to make another Game of Thrones reference, but it gives me the cells at the
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? At any time, you're basically trapped, but at any time you can, in a sense, free yourself by killing yourself. And that's kind of the larger attitude in general under the Emperor, where it's like, yeah, you're in a terrible position. And like everything, it's this invisible force like chaining you, but you can leave by sacrificing your life, either for the greater good or just saying, I can't do this anymore.
And then everyone in your cell block has to, quote, smell you all night.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Jesus Christ. That was difficult to hear. It was like, I
mean, that was difficult to hear, but even worse is that their food has no flavor.
Yeah, if they do the best, if they go the fastest, then they get the flavor.
But what kind of flavor do you think? Because
my money's on just straight like handfuls of grated Parmesan.
Like, okay, we're talking actual good flavor, or are we talking like British food flavor?
I feel like it's like they like put in like a bouillon cube, you know, like a chicken stock type thing, where it's like it just has a flavor.
That when you have no bouillon flavor? Cube probably hits hard when you have no flavor in your food whatsoever, right? Can you imagine getting like being like cold turkey for 30 days, no flavor in anything you drink? It's just water, right? And then a bouillon cube.
It's just nothing, and then a Baja Blast. And you just die.
Can you imagine giving a Baja Blast to like a peasant in medieval? This is basically what the equivalent is. But
thinking about
don't go back in time and kill any dictators. Go back in time and give a Baja Blast to a peasant.
Please.
I was thinking when you were like, what would the flavor be? I was like, it has to be just super generic. And then I was thinking about Schitt's Creek, where like the type of lotion they have is called 100% moist liquid. It's called Gel Time 100% moist liquid.
Okay.
Jesus.
I love I feel like it's that of like 100% flavor.
Like what flavor is it?
Extraction. It's flavor. It's just flavored.
Right.
It's something. It's there.
Right.
Yeah, you can taste it. What is it? I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, there are certain flavors that would be really like cool to have out of a tube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
You want like Cinnamon Toast Crunch toothpaste?
If you're eating it, I guess, right? Is that what it's paste, right?
Yeah, it's like a hamster thing where they like suck on it, and then which is
it's
weird.
So dehumanizing.
It is.
I like everything, but Dimitri, what I'm getting from you is you want like those camelback things, but with like Cinnamon Toast Crunch milkshake. So like blended Cinnamon Toast Crunch
You guys are making me really want a milkshake right now.
And then it just
You
sucked.
guys want to go out for a milkshake?
Yeah, let me fly out.
You're in the wrong time.
Five Guys, let's go. Right? Five Guys?
I've never
No,
been.
wait, no, it's
us?
In and Out.
Yeah,
In and Out.
We have In and Out. We also have Five Guys too, but Five Guys is not as good as In and Out.
I've never been to Five Guys.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
For
Like,
no reason.
am I paying per guy? How many for 3 guys?
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying. Did we miss anything? That's. I mean, we pretty much hit everything. I forgot about the sign language thing going on.
Yeah, that's gotta pop out next episode.
Andy Serkis, though, I'm trying to figure out, like, he is either going to use his position to help them as they escape, or he's going to get in the way and they're going to have to kill him.
I don't see it going the helping route. The way he currently is, I don't see it going the helping route.
You know what gave me a lot of anxiety? Because he's like a manager, right? Is when Andor stops working, what does he say to Andor? Like, nice of you to, like, you just sit back and relax? Or
you taking a break? You just taking a breather? Yeah.
But and he said that, and that set off, like, my, like, you know, my trauma. And then
he might as well have said, if you can lean, you can clean.
I hate it. I've worked too many jobs that acted like that, and it's so dumb.
It's fitting that the job that does that is in a prison.
What's that?
It's fitting that the job that does that is in a prison in Star Wars.
But
it's great. It's great when the prison reminds you of your time at Bath and Body Works.
Yeah, or working at Yoshinoya. You know,
when I was at Bath and Body Works, it's California law that you have to have a stool available for someone to sit down on. But then they were like, you should never be on the stool, because if you're on the stool, that means that everything is done in the store, right? There's nothing to be done if you're sitting on the stool. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
At my bank job, the manager said, we have chairs for our computers where we're sitting because we're tellers, but he would rather us not sit in the chairs. So he took like when we got up off the chairs, he would kind of swoop in and just push the chairs into a corner.
Oh God!
He wants us to stand. You know, like grocery tellers or whatever. They can in other countries they can sit down.
Yeah.
But in
no
America, like, we need you to suffer.
No, sitting down is for weenies.
You're lazy. It's like you're doing the damn job. What are you lazy about? Sitting down is not lazy if you're doing the job.
My first job was at a pizza place, and I literally just answered calls for like delivery, but we all had to stand. And a bunch of the people, you know, when somebody like kicks the back of your knee a little bit and it like buckles, we do that to each other all the time. And like, I never want to like stand up all the time at a job again, because that was terrible. I have had to do that a lot though since. So
I'm also wondering if someone is, if in the great Star Wars tradition, someone's going to lose a limb in that machinery. I feel like they did way too many shots of like how quickly it moves. I'm like, hands away. I'm like, someone's losing an arm. And if it's Andy Serkis, it'll be hilarious, because in Marvel he is, the claw is missing an arm.
I feel like it's going to be the older gentleman at the table.
Yeah, he's so nice. I know he's going to go through.
Are we talking about the black guy who gives him the run of the prison and how it works and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know everybody's names. I barely
on the table. Yeah.
There was one guy who was like, he kind of has like a longer neck, and he's very curious to watch where like Andy Serkis's character goes. Like he stops working just to like watch where he goes.
I feel that because it's a new environment, so you need to learn like everybody, because Cassian's the only character that we know in there. So you can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Also, Melshi is the only one at the table who remembered Cassian's name, which is another Devin.
Corrected him?
Yes, he's the one that was like when someone said new guy, and he was like, whatever his name is, Keith.
Keith, which sounds way too similar to Queef.
Really?
For me, I keep getting it mixed up with Grief Karga from The Mandalorian.
Oh, it does sound like Grief Karga.
Yeah,
but
he's the one. He was the one
of,
that was like, "That's what his name is," and I was like, "Yeah, these guys are going to be best friends and die on Scarif together."
British Keith.
Keith.
Hi, it's your birthday, Keith.
Okay.
Go to Chicken and I can't do a British accent. I'm gonna try. Vaguely
it's your
European.
Birthday, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a birthday. But how do you? Hi, Mike. That's Australian.
I like this show. I have no complaints because I know it's gonna lead us somewhere, right?
Yeah.
My complaint is gonna be when the season's over and I'm waiting for season 2. But
yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time because the House of Dragon is over, so I don't have the last few weeks. It's been I have a midway through the week show to watch, but I don't now, and so now I will have.
Abbott Elementary comes out Wednesdays.
Okay,
Abbott Elementary is so good. Ugh.
Abbott Elementary comes out Wednesdays, and then Reboot comes out on Mondays.
And Great British Baking Shows on Fridays.
Dairy Girls is out now. You can binge that or try and pace yourself. Have you seen Dairy Girls?
I haven't seen Dairy Girls.
It's really good. Highly recommend.
You were telling me about Dairy Girls, right?
Was I?
Was it you? If it wasn't you, then it was somebody else who was literally talking about Dairy Girls.
I think it was me. Yeah, no, it was because I was like, oh yeah, they talk about like they're set in such a serious thing, but then they're all teenagers and and I went off on my little tangents.
Yeah. I want to thank both of you so much for doing this. Obviously, Sarah for being co-host, the awesome rock that you are.
Thank you. People have compared me to Dwayne Johnson constantly. I always do that comparison. Yeah. When I wear a black turtleneck with my gold chain, that's when people say
fanny pack? Do you have a fanny pack?
Yeah. I have many fanny packs.
Of course.
I have specific fanny packs to go with different cosplays. Because as someone that's cosplaying with a 6-year-old, I have to have fruit snacks on me at all times.
Oh, yeah. But thank you, Sarah, so much. And thank you, Cam. Caminator, the animator, laminator.
Reanimator.
Reanimator, parameter.
Nancy the necromancer.
Nancy in necromancy.
Necronancy.
Necronancy.
Emily in Paris. That's how it's supposed to be said.
Oh, right.
In Paris.
It's Amelie in Paris.
Amelie.
Anyway, thank you so much. Did we already talk about like what we think is gonna happen? We don't know, right?
No, I have no idea how he's getting out of this. I know he's getting out. I have no idea how.
Okay.
We talked a little bit because we were like, somebody's gonna lose a limb.
Yeah.
Sign language is something.
Sign language.
Sign language is something.
Bix is definitely gonna die.
Oh. Yeah.
I think Bix is gonna die. I think Marv is gonna die. I think I'll be very upset.
The friend of Binks. The big guy.
I love him so much.
He was like,
if someone was like, if you will ever have a husband, draw him. I would draw that man. I would be like, realistically, that's the man.
I don't think he's gonna die, but I do think he's going to do one of those things where he's just like, I want to be off the map completely after all this bullshit. I see him doing that.
Yeah, I don't like that they brought him back. I was like, oh no, if I never saw him again, I could think he was going to be okay. But the fact that they brought him back when everything's starting to go down, and he clearly has a connection to Cassian.
Yeah,
he had that alibi for Cassian. Yeah, so if they've got Bix,
he has a wife though, right?
How to get him?
Does he have a wife?
Yeah.
Did they mention in the first episode?
Wife and kids?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh
Right?
no.
I don't know.
I think so because it was something about he came over to drink when they were going over his alibi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it.
Got it.
Poor guy. Yeah.
Thank you to everybody out there for watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. If you're listening to us, you are listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. If you're on social media, TikTok and Instagram are our big ones at The Keeg Show. We're also on Facebook, also on Twitter. Sarah, co-host, where can we find you online? What do you got coming up?
I am on Instagram and TikTok at Ms_Marauder. We got some Halloween fun times coming up, and some anime conventions. So
Awesome.
adorable cosplays incoming.
Awesome. Cool. And Caminator, the animator. Where can we find you online? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah. So you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at caminator.theanimator. I'm also on Twitter at Horfessional. I'm trying to find Caminator the Animator username on there. It's taken. I'm gonna have to pay somebody money. I
can't believe that is
It's
taken.
too long, though,
I
right?
know.
It's so specific.
I was so surprised when it was, and the person who like has the account hasn't posted anything like 9 years. Whatever.
Are we talking about the Caminator or?
I think it's just Caminator.
It can't be Caminator the Animator. It's too long.
I think it's just Caminator I was looking at. But yeah, I appear on Tabletop Tavern every Monday. It airs over on twitch.tv/Tabletop Tavern. And I'm definitely going to be posting some thirst traps in my Halloween costume later this week. So if you want to see that, or if you just want to see me do the Halloween makeup,
I've been thinking about diversifying into thirst traps, especially with Halloween costumes. Well, not under the Keeg. I don't want to. The Keeg is its own brand. So if anyone wants to follow me at This Is Dimitri on Instagram and in TikTok, we'll see.
I'll share your thirst traps.
What's that?
I'll share them.
You'll share them.
Mm-hmm.
You can.
I have a villain cosplay that I'm doing with Evie that lends, like, as a solo cosplay, it lends itself well to thirst traps. But I'm so, like, I have no idea how to, even the thought of filming one makes me nervous. I'm like, I don't know how
You gotta find a good sound. Right?
I have to practice, like, posing, because people are going to ask us for pictures and they have to be like, how does this guy pose? I can't do, like, the cool dad pose because he's a bad guy.
We're going to finish the episode and we'll talk real quick. I found at Caminator on Twitter, and they only had one tweet from March 19th, 2009, and it says, taking a dump. Only one tweet, and they've taken the username. They have they're following 0 people. They have 6 followers, and their only tweet is taking a dump. So
they have 6 followers from one tweet, and the tweet is taking a dump.
It's an alternate universe me, actually. Where I'm
like,
not on social media at all.
You like made it in your sleep. You're like, oh, wait a minute.
Maybe.
Was that? You log in. You've had it
a lot of really weird usernames in my time on the internet. Very weirdly specific ones.
I mean, that's the internet for you.
I have to after the episode's done, I have to bore you guys with a username story. That's actually quite delightful.
Everybody out there, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I'm your host, Dimitri Pereira, and this has been episode 8, yes, of the Andor After Show. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Super fast, gotta beat the boss and get the loot, 'cause it's the king.